Welcome to episode 39 of Posture Labs and Alignment Fundamentals. This week we'll be covering Matsyasana or fish pose. Fish pose is traditionally done after a lot of rounding spine poses, which is what we did last week. So the last few weeks have kind of been a progression of what you might usually see at the end of a yoga class. We did back bends, then we did shoulder stand plow and ear pressure pose last week, which is all very intensely rounding spine poses. And then Matsyasana, fish pose, is a nice counter pose after all of that. So if you haven't checked out the last few weeks, I would recommend doing that first. Either way, make sure you warm up a little bit before doing this pose. Matsyasana fish pose can also be done as a restorative pose with a bolster. I don't have a bolster with me, but I'm going to explain it as I get there. There's a few ways to do fish pose. I'm going to go over the way that I usually teach. Of course, there is a way with lotus legs and then floating your legs at a 45-degree angle. Again, I will explain all of that, but I'm going to go over kind of just the most basic version because I find that even new students still are a little bit confused about this one. So fish pose. Think about after you've done your back bends, after you've done maybe shoulder stand, that's a lot of rounding on your back. So this is kind of to counter all of that. Your legs will be extended straight, and I want your fingertips under your butt. So not sitting on your hands so that you can't pull your hands out, just your fingertips under your butt. So your forearms are on the mat, really from your tailbone all the way up to your head. That's not touching the mat. So the only thing that's on the mat is your legs and your forearms. From here, you're arching your back. So you're puffing up your chest, broadening your collarbones, and lifting your sternum up towards the ceiling. Point your toes and then drop your head back. So already I feel a nice counter stretch after all of those, like the shoulder stand, plow pose, and ear pressure pose. You're opening up your throat, push your spine in behind your heart, and point your toes. The top of your head does not touch the mat here. But in other variations of fish pose, the top of your head may touch the mat. So first, what one might do, I can use a block, but I would recommend maybe using more of a bolster. Would probably be a little bit more comfortable. You can put a bolster underneath you and kind of drop your head back. So now my head's touching the mat, but it's a similar idea. This is more of a restorative pose. It doesn't feel so bad with a block, but I wouldn't want to be here for a super long time is the only thing. So my chest is still open, collarbones expanding. I can point my toes and make it a little bit more active, but my palms are just facing up by my side. So this is a more restorative fish pose. You could even go ahead and put like a pillow underneath your head to make it even more comfortable. I do think with a long bolster, that would be ideal. If you would like to do a little bit more of an active fish pose, for this one, I like to start a similar way, and then I kind of release my hands. I'm going to place the top of my head on the mat. So I might wiggle my elbows a little bit forward and place the top of my head on the mat. So this, I really want to make sure I don't turn my head side to side. My gaze stays where it is. From here, I'm going to extend my arms up and bring my palms to touch. Then I'm going to lift my legs up at about a 45-degree angle and try to keep this arch of my back. I'm trying to push the crown of my head into the mat, squeeze my inner thighs, push my spine in, and tone my low belly, and release. Now this one is definitely more intense. We do this in the Ashtanga primary series. I don't usually teach this in studio classes just because it's a lot of pressure on your neck. Most students, unless you've been practicing this pose or yoga for a while, are really not ready for this variation. Feel free to give it a shot, but just a fair warning, it's a lot of pressure on your neck. Just be sure you're not turning your head side to side. You're arching your back, but you're also really engaging your lower abdominals, which usually we don't do at the same time. Think about doing like at the gym crunches. You're not arching your back when you do that. You're almost rounding your back. So here you're arching your back and engaging your lower abs. It's a very challenging pose. So that's just my fair warning. I think the regular fish pose is more than enough. You're getting that nice opening through your chest. The purpose really is to kind of release that pressure on your cervical spine, open up your throat and your chest area after doing like plow pose. So that's just my 2 cents. Restorative fish pose is also a wonderful stretch. A bolster is going to be more comfortable, so you can rest there for 3 to 5 minutes like you might do in a yin or restorative yoga class. The block, I probably couldn't stay there for 3 to 5 minutes, but it's a nice option if I don't have a bolster or if I just don't want to do regular fish pose. Really focus on getting that arch of your back. That's the purpose of the pose. When I see a lot of new students do this, they kind of go like this, and they shrug their shoulders up by their ears, and then they're like this, and everything's kind of crunched up tight. So I really want you to think about drawing the shoulder blades, almost drawing the shoulder blades together and pushing the low back in, then dropping your head back. So you should feel like you have a lot of space. It shouldn't feel too crunched up by your shoulders and your neck. Hopefully you found this tutorial helpful. Again, try to listen to the tutorial before you practice it, because this one would be a really challenging and dangerous one to be turning your head side to side. Hopefully you found this tutorial helpful. If so, give it a thumbs up, let me know in the comments, and I will see you back next week.